So, walking sports. So as well as race walking, Nordic walking and other specific sports where walking is the core of the sport, there's also a collection of popular sports that have begun to embrace the physical activity agenda, and the national governing bodies of many sports have now turned their attention to widening participation and making new variations of the sports accessible to all. This makes these sports really inclusive, enjoyable and attractive to those who perhaps used to play sport more competitively earlier in their life, or simply to those who are looking for an enjoyable and safer and more sociable way to be physically active. These are probably the most well-established sports that have turned their attention to providing this for fairly large groups of people. Now, in fact, there's been a whole movement in the field of sports medicine to have specialised areas such as football medicine or tennis medicine. And this book by Krustrup and Parnell, 2019, presents quite a significant overview of the various ways in which football can be considered as medicine. It even includes the potential physical and psychological benefits of being a fan, if well considered and analysed. And football medicine considers the broad spectrum application of fitness benefits, which are adjustable for all ages and skill levels. Walking football is probably the most popular walking sport at present. The Football Association has produced toolkits for development of club activities, including marketing, planning, sessions, best practice and rules. And in simple terms, that means no running, keeping one foot on the ground, no hard tackles and no heading. You will find that rules may vary in different settings, but there are a number of leagues across the country and it's still evolving. This is me and some friends when we've played at Warsaw Football Club, a great setup which is it's both extremely competitive but also extremely friendly, and quite a workout when you go and play there for an hour or two. Great for the community. We were the youngest there. This was a walking football tournament that I organised for a group of final year sports therapy students from UCB, and we went down to Wembley for a couple of days, and one day we had a tournament, walking football. I think we had about 40 players, 6 teams, and it was a great event. You can see that it's got mixed ages, mixed abilities and mixed genders, all of which I think is fantastic because anyone can get involved. It's a great tournament, and here are the University College villains. I was the captain. I also believe, forgive me for showing my own photographs, but I'm just trying to illustrate points. I also believe that you can simply go for a walk with a football or a frisbee or a rugby ball or a tennis ball, and for me you can make a walk quite different. You can encourage different movements, you can stimulate some running about and some skills practice, and it can end up making you walk further by taking additional steps to retrieve the ball or chase the ball. It can be great fun if you have the space and the environment, and as they say, the whole world's your gym. So, touch rugby, walking rugby, 2 basic rules: no running, no tackling. Walking netball. Walking cricket is me again. Played a few sessions at Cannock Walking Cricket Club last year, and again the emphasis is on a friendly environment, competitive, It's great fun, it's fantastic, like all of these initiatives. For those people who would love to play the sport again, but may be struggling for various reasons, due to mental or physical health issues, or simply where they just prefer these particular versions of the sport. Obviously this is indoor, which means you can play it all year round. Again, very competitive, everybody had a really good workout, and I just hope and I'm sure that these sports will continue to grow in popularity. Walking basketball, walking tennis, and now, forgive me again, I never do a lecture without a couple of jokes. I'm sure you've all got that one now. Give you a touch longer for this one. A bit like me, tends to ramble. And I don't think any vodcast lecture on walking, and with a section on walking jokes, couldn't not incorporate Monty Python's ministry of silly walks. So, walking and health. So we need a little reminder really of the physical activity agenda. And so from this is the World Health Organization from 2018. Key points here are that insufficient physical activity is a lead factor for death, non-communicable disease, and a quarter of adults are not physically active enough to minimise that risk. And this infographic, which I would have assumed that you're all familiar with, is the latest 2019 UK Chief Medical Officer's minimum recommended physical activity guidelines for adults and older adults, and basically 150 minutes of moderate or 75 minutes of vigorous physical activity every week, which should include 2 sessions of resistance and balance training every week. So that's what the government is recommending. So Walking for Health. It's a national initiative presented by the Ramblers, which is a national charity working to protect and expand the places people love to walk, and to promote walking for health and pleasure, and to protect walkers' rights. It's got about 130,000 members, and in conjunction or collaboration with Sport England and the National Lottery, the Ramblers have developed the Walking for Health scheme. There are a number of other health walk initiatives in the UK, Paths for All in Scotland, and also the Living Streets initiative. And as it says here, Walking for Health has shown to be an effective way of getting certain populations into greater levels of regular, safe, moderate to vigorous physical activity. And there is now a host of evidence to support both the efficacy of Walking for Health itself and also for walking in health generally. We can explore some of those areas. I would encourage you to have a look at the Walking for Health website and to view this video on YouTube to understand more about the scheme and whether you might want to A, get involved yourself, or B, simply have an awareness of it so that you can recommend it to people who would benefit. Walking in organised groups with responsible health walk leaders is an attractive prospect to many people, particularly those who may be vulnerable or in poor health, or those who would simply prefer to be more active in a more pleasant and social group setting. It's also been successful as an initiative in being able to attract people who are not previously sufficiently active. And walking is a low-cost activity. It requires no specialised equipment. It can be light, moderate or vigorous intensity. It can be short or long duration. It has minimal risk if approached appropriately, and it can be used as part of recovery from illness, as part of a rehabilitation program, and as a foundation platform for progressing onto more intensive physical activity. Walking should be considered an essential aspect in the planning for a healthy environment by creating more attractive places and infrastructure for active social travel. If more people walk, more people will walk. If more people are walking, more people will be healthier and happier, and places will be nicer. And that's in simple terms. This document, Walking Works, is available online, and it's a particularly good report detailing the efficiencies of the Walking for Health scheme. And there has been a fair bit of research undertaken just to analyse the effectiveness of the Walking for Health initiative. Sarah Hanson from the University of East Anglia has undertaken some investigations into the effects of the schemes. And this report from 2015 highlighted the wide-ranging health benefits, reductions seen in regular walkers' blood pressure, resting heart rates, body fat, body mass index, and cholesterol, and also improvements in aerobic fitness and perceived ratings of physical functioning, as well as improved physical performance in such tests as the 6-minute walk test. And the conclusions in this report emphasise how safe and effective walking groups are. No notable adverse side effects reported, and pretty strong conclusions being made. This was a systematic review and meta-analysis. So, Walking for Health is a national initiative. It's growing. There are around 400 schemes, 2,000 scheduled weekly walks, over 8,000 active volunteers. The volunteers actually gain benefits. Many of the volunteers were previously simply walk participants who then undertook the short training to become a health walk leader themselves. So there's loads of benefits for the walkers. These are just some of the Walking for Health promotional images. The British Journal of Sports Medicine published a special 21 years of walking research edition in 2018. You'll notice that all the papers on this infographic are from 2018. So much of the research was current and highlights just how important a role walking can play in health promotion. This review and meta-analysis by Oja et al. Illustrated the robust effects of walking on cardiovascular disease and type 2 diabetes. This review by Kelly et al. Shows the strong evidence to support walking as an intervention for depression and anxiety. You'll also see here some conversation starters for people involved in delivering walking programs where mental health issues are present, and they're likely to be, especially if the scheme is aiming to target those particular groups. So we all know the fitness prescription, FITT prescription, frequency, intensity, time and type. The individualised and prescriptive dose of exercise or physical activity that can be presented to a client for their progressive benefit. This study by Greg et al. Showed how a duration of more than 2 hours per week of walking reduced all-cause mortality for people with diabetes, regardless of their age, their gender, ethnicity, BMI, and presenting condition of diabetes. They also showed that the higher the rating of perceived exertion, the greater the reduction. Williams and Thompson identified a walking speed of 2.5 miles per hour was to be recommended to reduce all-cause mortality. Recognise that easy-paced walking is around 2.5 to 4 miles per hour, and fast-paced walking is around 5 miles per hour. And if you remember, Tom Bosworth's 1 mile world record for the mile was 5.31 minutes, which works out at 11.3 miles per hour. But the emphasis here is walking fast if you can. Lee et al. In 2019 looked at step volume, and 4,400 steps per day showed a significant reduction in mortality rates, and more steps per day showed further reductions. The classic 10,000 steps per day is a completely arbitrary figure. It originated in Japan in the mid-60s and the world's first wearable step counter, which was a device called a Manpo K, and it translates as 10,000 step meter. It wasn't based on any specific evidence at the time, simply a number that was indicative of an active lifestyle. It's very arbitrary. It's become established as a kind of marker of physical activity in walking. So this is from the C3 Collaborating for Health, which is a global non-governmental charity organisation based in London. And they publish a range of interesting information. Here's a 2012 report highlighting categories of pedometer-determined physical activity thresholds of adults ranging from sedentary at less than 2,500 steps per day to more than 12,500 steps per day as highly active. And interestingly, they suggest 5,000 to 7,500 steps per day as being low active. So maybe we all need to step it up a bit. Now I'm going to briefly show some reasoning to support walking for older populations. The Latin root word senex means old. You'll be familiar with the term senile, which I feel has something of a negative stigma to it. But the term senescence is more all-encompassing. It's associated with a range of gradually occurring age-related deteriorations in functioning due to a host of biological and cellular processes. Which we don't have a great deal of time to go through this, but you can look at a paper by Nascimento, which sums a lot of this up quite nicely from 2018. And in Nascimento's paper, he highlights such things as sarcopenia, so reduced muscle quality, density, reactivity, tone, strength, reduced bone mineral density, BMD, and osteoporotic development, coexisting osteoporosis and sarcopenia, which is gained increased attention recently, osteosarcopenia, increased joint degeneration, osteoarthritis, increased stiffness of arterial walls, arteriosclerosis, increased systemic inflammation, reduced homeostatic and immune functioning, reduced cardiac and respiratory functioning, increased neurological and cognitive decline, increased comorbidities associated with age, and with more comorbidities means more medications, which is polypharmacy. And all of this adds up to increased vulnerability to falls, illness, exposure to infection, effects of infection and illness, and all of that can then lead to an even more sedentary life. So in essence, it will come to us all eventually, but it doesn't look too good when you kind of look at all the factors that contribute towards our deterioration. So this is from Sperduso, showing something of a continuum of age-related functional health from being disabled and physically dependent at the lower end, and to being physically elite at the other end. And you can see that simply being able to walk independently is classed as an independent activity of daily living, an IADL. And lower ability in this would class the individual as being physically frail. We know that slower walking speeds can be an indicator of aging, and that the ability to walk with moderate intensity can be an indicator of fitness. There are numerous biomarkers which enable biological age to be estimated. Obviously, biological age is different to chronological age, which is simply how old we are. Biological age is an estimated based on your physical capabilities and your physiological biomarkers. So the biomarkers include BMI, waist-hip ratio, body fat percentage, resting heart rate, blood pressure, fasting plasma glucose, total cholesterol levels, HDL and LDL levels, bone mineral density values, VO2 max levels, or predicted, 1 rep max, or percentages of, forced expiratory volumes, forced vital capacities, FEV to FVC ratios, and additionally, telomere lengths. And telomeres are the ends of our chromosomes, which protect the chromosome, but as cells replicate, the telomeres get shorter over years. Eventually, they don't offer so much in the way of protection. Also, stem cells, which are like our body's undifferentiated reserve cells, these experience exhaustion. That can also be measured. So telomere length can be measured, stem cell exhaustion rate can be measured. Just come back to that in a moment. Also, we've got performance indicators of biological age. So these are walk tests, grip strength tests, cognitive functional tests, memory tests, and also, I'm sure we can all appreciate the health biological presentation of smoker's lung, an alcoholic liver, of obese arteries, atherosclerosis, brittle bones, osteoporosis, memory loss, sarcopenic muscle. So biological age is certainly something to consider, something many of us can work to improve as we chronologically age. And that's quite an important message. And this from Stamatakis et al. In 2018, showing how faster walking pace reduces risk of early mortality, particularly those in the over 50 category. This is from CARDI, the Centre for Ageing Research and Development in Ireland, and in their research brief from 2014, they highlight how physical activity declines with age, and those over 75 years of age are more than twice as likely as 60-year-olds to be insufficiently active, and in this population, women are much more likely to be insufficiently active compared to men. From the same article, they presented this quite illuminating infographic showing the numerous factors affecting older people's participation in physical activity. We might again remember that there are a host of determinants of health. I keep mentioning this. Sociologically, the neighbourhood environment, population demographics, socio-economic climate, and the range of public policy characteristics are all significant influences. And on the individual level, on the bottom of the infographic, the non-modifiable factors of age, gender, and ethnicity, and also education factors, and the arguably modifiable income levels and psychological variables that influence our health and our aging. Some key take-home points here, I think. Given the impact physical activity has on health, it's important to promote physical activity, particularly walking. That was their key recommendation to groups with low current levels, especially those aged over 75 and older women. And this again from Nascimento, 2018. The key point here is for anyone with an influence to help facilitate interventions to reduce the progression from old robust to old frail. And in my mind, safe and supportive health walking is exactly the kind of intervention to recommend. So for the aging population, walking has undoubted benefits with minimal risk. One more physical activity and age-related paper to recommend, and this is by Taylor in 2014, who simply highlights how physical activity is a highly effective medicine for older adults. It's a paper worth having.